This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carinante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carinante is off today. I am going to check in with you all with an update regardless. Thanks for joining. Hope you had a fun weekend. Hope you enjoyed the NFL playoffs. More tonight, a game between the Rams and Vikings in Arizona, which is interesting. That's a home game for the Rams, I guess. Thoughts go out to everyone in Los Angeles, of course. We are here to talk about the New York Yankees, and thank goodness for the solo one-man show that we don't really have anything going on. It's pretty stagnant. Pretty stagnant is an understatement. Why? Because nothing is going to move, and the experts and the insiders have made this perfectly clear until Marcus Stroman is traded. We talked about this. We raged about this. We ranted on this on the last show. That even though Stroman is a mid-tier contract, pitching like a mid-tier pitcher, doing pretty much exactly what he was brought in to do last year, struggling down the stretch, but fulfilling his obligations in the first half, taking the ball in the Yankees home opener, by and large being a quality MLB starter through June at least, you can make do with him as a sixth starter. Maybe it even helps keep his arm a little bit fresher. Regardless, the Yankees have no interest in paying $18 million for that. It's led to a whole lot of hypotheticals. Hey, would you rather have Justin Verlander for $15 million? I don't think I would, but Thomas did. Alex Cobb for $15 million or Marcus Stroman for $18 million? Give me Stroman, and you wonder why teams aren't really jumping at that possibility. But regardless, we'll talk a little bit about that, why it's holding up the infield market, the latest on Roki Sasaki, what kind of player the Yankees are actually looking to clear room for if they do trade Stroman, and an update on those Yankee fans who grabbed Mookie Betts' wrist. Hate to talk about them, also love to talk about them. Thank you for joining us, 2 o'clock Eastern, every Monday, every Thursday, and then on all your podcast platforms afterwards. So if you are not a subscriber, hit us with that subscribe, hit that button. If you are an audio-only listener, thank you. We take a rate, we take a review. Hit us up, let us know your thoughts, and you can always visit us at yanksgoyard.com to read our content, as well as our personal Twitter accounts, which are still there for the time being. At Adam Weinrib is me. At Yanks Go Yard FS is our brand account. And Thomas Carinante is at Tommy's_takes. So thank you for joining us. Of course, got to talk about the Stroman thing just because I don't want to wait anymore for the Yankees to act. Like I'd much rather the New York Yankees, the behemoth New York Yankees, not be threatening to be the first AL pennant winner since the 2020 Rays to lower payroll year over year after winning the pennant, trying to fight their way back there. And much like those 2020 Rays, they're the losing team in that World Series. They should be fighting even harder to maximize their chances of getting back there and maybe winning it. Instead, they seem content to pick up the pieces pretty nicely from Juan Soto, but then once it really gets the nut cutting time, not be comfortable going the extra mile to make sure that this is a contender. And it's fine. I understand if what we saw from Marcus Stroman last year did not scream, oh, that's a must keep. That guy's not only do we got to sign that guy, but we got to maintain him for the duration of the contract. I understand why you'd be interested in moving off the player. The desperation is not what I'm interested in. The reeking of desperation after being the top team in a weakened AL and still being the top team in a weakened AL heading in next year, you have a chance to really make a statement, and you should be making that statement while just accepting the fact of life that you've got Marcus Stroman. Your whole offseason should not hinge on getting rid of that money. And by the way, we heard a little bit about the contract details, which I think have confused people, including myself, in recent months since he signed about a year ago, because I know there's a vesting option, and I knew he reached enough innings to vest it last year, and it was like, well, is that option dependent on 2025? Has it already vested? Is it a 2-year? Is it a 3-year deal with 2 years remaining right now? So there was some word over the weekend that indicated that here's the deal on those contract details. If he throws 140 innings next year, in 2025, that 2026 option year will convert to a player option. So if he reaches that 140 inning mark, he can really stick his new team or the Yankees with $18 million in additional funds that will be uncovered at this moment in any trade. So like if the Yankees are trying to get, say, the San Francisco Giants, like we've got $18 million on the books for Stroman in 2025. We'd love if, you covered 10, we'll cover 8 or whatever. Handshake. Well, if all goes well and Stroman throws 140 innings for your team next year, then he's going to end up costing another $18 million in all likelihood. Although there is the chance, of course, that if he pitches well, he's going to decline that player option and try to outbid that $18 million on the market. And given the Verlander and given the Cobb contracts, he's one good year away from being worth $19 million, $20 million. That said, I don't see a world where Marcus Stroman makes himself into like a $24, $25 million pitcher. And in that case, would he really decline that player option to make an extra $1 million or at best case scenario and add that uncertainty to his winter? Because right now, you value that stability. So like if he goes somewhere and throws 149 quality innings, gets a player option for $18 million for 2026, is he really going to bet on himself and be like, I know I can beat this by $1 million a year? I don't know. I have a hard time seeing that. I feel like he might just opt in as long as he's happy with where he is. But there is that extra option year that you're sort of sticking onto the acquiring team's payroll as a looming player option. That's why all of this sort of screams to me, keep Stroman as your 6th starter, right? Because he's not going to, if he's a 6th starter and getting the amount of reps that the Yankees envision for him, that's not going to convert to a player option, right? He's probably not going to make 140 innings as a 6th starter. He'll only reach that plateau if he pitches and pitches well for a team that is guaranteeing him a rotation spot. So if the Yankees trade him somewhere, the acquiring team needs to pitch him every 5 days instead of manipulating it. And they probably believe that they're getting a bargain, or at least a paid down bargain. He's a solid pitcher. But if he struggles, then it's an easy call for whoever has Marcus Stroman in 2025. Then he just doesn't, you don't let him get anywhere close to that number. And that should be easy. All teams have enough depth that if Stroman starts breaking down at 80, 90 innings, then you don't need to force feed an extra 60 innings in there. 6th starter with the Yankees, though. The Yankees should just be able to absorb this amount of money, but apparently they're uncomfortable. If he's good at 140 innings, it's a bargain for next year too, but they just apparently don't feel comfortable. Now, what kind of player are we trying to clear this room for? That's the question too, because when we let Gleyber Torres go, that we being the New York Yankees, sorry, I'm dropping wheeze. You got to deal with it. I was totally in favor, clean break, player whose defensive deficiencies cost the Yankees a lot, even out the bat. Certainly it is maybe a relationship that needed to end. A player who reached the end of his rope with an organization that acquired him as a prospect, maximized him, watched him have a downturn after the, juice ball in 2019. And when the offense climbed back, it really the only time it was like exceptional was in the leadoff spot heading into the postseason this year. Small sample size there. So $15 million for 1 year. I understand why the Yankees didn't pay that. I just wish they had more intentionality about what they were moving on from him in order to accommodate. And they didn't, because they're clearly looking for Jorge Polanco types and Brendan Rodgers types. We heard all about those guys as the kind of money they're looking to obtain clearance for, right? So we got to get rid of Stroman to bring in Jorge Polanco. Like, if we have to get rid of Stroman because we think we're going to take on 3 years of Nolan Arenado at $20+ million a year, or Alex Bregman, who's looking for 7 years, $200 million, but as the clock ticks, might get increasingly desperate for a high AAV short-term offer, and maybe, just maybe, we could woo Alex Bregman on like a 3-year, $85-90 million deal or something like that. If the Yankees are trying to get really creative financially and we're looking at Stroman's money, just saying, I don't want to pay that to a 6th starter, I'd rather pay Alex Bregman 26 or 27 million, then yeah, totally get it. I would rather pay Bregman and be my 3rd baseman on a short-term basis. Maybe I front load that with opt-outs or whatever, then have to worry about Stroman's money. And I would certainly want to choose one over the other. And I would not want to just say, well, you got to have both. Well, you actually don't. I would take the helpful 3rd baseman over the depth starter. But if they're trying to clear out money for a Polanco type or a 1-year, $7 million flyer on Brendan Rodgers, and they can't possibly stomach taking that $7 million shot and also having a reliable 6th starter, or at least someone who's reliable until he breaks down in Stroman, that is where I'm going to question the Yankees a little bit. on this one. If you're trying to move Stroman's money to make a high impact infield addition, which at this point is really just Bregman or Arenado or Ha-Seong Kim, then I love it. Or Luis Arraez in trade, perhaps. He's making $14 million next year. That's less than Stroman, but a substantial sum. You're absorbing that for a guy who we all agree sort of an imperfect fit, would be an intriguing leadoff hitter in front of Aaron Judge, but the defense lacking the base running, lacking the power, lacking, and last year was his worst year of the 3 years in a row where he led the league in average. If you want to move Stroman's money around for that, sure, fine. But if you want to move it for a short-termer in Polanco and Rogers, that I can't get down with. That feels like we're starting to pinch pennies. We're not to the degree that some owners do, but certainly we're not flexing our financial muscles to the degree that the New York Yankees should, especially coming off an American League championship and in such prime position to do more damage next year. Said in the previous shows, like, don't fool yourself, pretend the Yankees aren't good, but you're allowed to, turn the microscope on them a little bit, right? You're allowed to criticize their action or inactivity and also acknowledge that they're probably the best team in the American League right now. So why wouldn't you want to cement your status emphatically? That's what we're dealing with. But we're still waiting. Marcus Stroman, there's a reason. It's the contract details. It's the second half performance. It's the personality. It's the durability. It's the age. There are plenty of reasons why teams are not leaping at the ability to possibly acquire that $18 million this year, and then maybe you get stuck with it again next year if the option vests. So we'll have to wait. But until then, until they get something done here, I think Jack Curry said it on the Hot Stove Show last week. Like, they could get creative, they could get exciting if they move that Stroman money. But until they do, I don't think you're seeing anything. Which brings me to somewhere where we actually do have definitive answers. The answers are starting to come in on Roki Sasaki. Now, do you think the Yankees are serious for Roki Sasaki? The Yankees have a real shot here. I mean, Masahiro Tanaka is his idol, right? Do I dare to believe January 15th, 2 days from now, is when the period officially opens up on the calendar where he could sign? It's been widely accepted that Sasaki will not be making a decision right away. Now, he might have already made a decision, of course, but wouldn't be announcing a decision right away. He's going to take that whole, a large chunk of that available time and space to think about it. So I wouldn't expect right on January 15th to get the news, but today we did get a couple of big pieces of news. We got the news that the San Francisco Giants are out. They're the first team that was seriously considered to be a threat for Sasaki, that Sasaki's camp has informed he will not be a member of that team. And the Yankees were that in 2017 with Shohei Ohtani. The Yankees were favored to sign Shohei Ohtani on the international market in a similar bidding process to the one that just got us to today with Sasaki. And they went from favorites to paupers in like 1 second flat. Ohtani's camp was like, we really appreciate your enthusiasm, but absolutely not. No chance. Not even a little bit. Not going to think about it. So the Giants became those folks in the Roki Sasaki chase, as word leaked that the Toronto Blue Jays had a secret meeting with Sasaki. So add them to the pile of the Yankees, Mets, Padres, Dodgers, Rangers. From what we heard earlier in the offseason, California, some believe that that's an important, people believe he wants California, of course. But his agent and his agency and his reps tried to share the fact that what's really important to him is maybe lower tier media ecosystem, place he can relax, place he can hide from, he's had scraps with the Japanese media, so the less media pressure, the better. And they've also said he prioritizes a strong pitching program and a lab and a team of enthusiastic pitching development associates and analysts who were able to get the best out of him and maximize his ridiculous arm talent. So I got into a little bit of like a head-to-head with not even a Dodger fan, I don't know who this person was, over the weekend about, the vicious New York media and how, that early tidbit about the media means he's pretty much already ruled out New York. No chance. I don't think he's coming to New York either. So I'll put that on record first. This is definitely not a Sasaki's going to choose the Yankees, everybody haters weep podcast. I don't think he's going to choose the Yankees. I think it probably is down to the Dodgers and Padres. I don't think he's going to choose the mystery team either. I think I'm good for the Blue Jays that they're getting involved. They don't exactly have that history of pitching development. And they certainly have an entire nation's media apparatus focused on them. So I guess Rogers Communication owns the team. Theoretically, they could assure Sasaki, like, hey, we're not going to cover you unfavorably. We're not going to go too hard on you. You can relax up here. But the Blue Jays are pretty inarguably a last place team at this moment in time in the American League East. Sasaki would be a huge long-term investment for them, not in terms of dollars, but in terms of changing the profile. But he'd be the first one. And Vlad Jr. is not under contract long-term. Bo Bichette not under contract long-term. Not sure what Toronto is. They start to define themselves when they get to Sasaki, but I don't think that's immediately appealing for him. I do think it's probably down to the Dodgers and Padres, but hold on a minute with this media market stuff, because if you're ruling out the Yankees, first of all, if you're ruling out the Yankees based on the New York media, I would implore you to be here, live here, know about the New York media before you're making assumptions about how impossible it is to play in this market in front of this media. You've got a lot of folks, right, who report on this team, and you certainly have high expectations for the New York Yankees at all times. But that's not it's not like Yankee fans are hinging their entire offseason on Sasaki, and he's the savior. I got into it with somebody who was saying that, Yankee fans after losing Soto are going to pin everything on Sasaki if he comes here and put immense pressure on his shoulders. I don't think that at all. I mean, they bounced back with Max Fried and Devin Williams and Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt. Everybody at this point, Yankee fans are thinking like, we have not built a better team without Juan Soto, but it's a very complete team and the best team in the American League. And Sasaki could be a huge difference maker, or if he struggles, he could be irrelevant. But they have the pitching depth to cover for a tough Sasaki season. Now, they also have a full rotation and Marcus Stroman too, right? So they have the ability to treat Sasaki as a prospect. Remember the good old days when El Duque used to come in like May? He came in the 1998 Yankees rotation in like May after pitching at Columbus and honing his craft. Like, they could do that. It could be a soft place to land in, yes, a vaunted Yankees pitching lab if you were to bring in Sasaki. If he really does care about that kind of thing, infrastructure, development, the Yankees and Matt Blake routinely turn unfocused power arms into superstars and bullpen studs. And they do an incredible job of maximizing the talents of prospects as they age, as they turn 21, 22, 23. I'm fascinated to see what happens with the Yankees draft from last year, that all pitcher top of the class, huge arms, but question marks on all those guys. This year is going to speak pretty highly about what the Yankees do with arms like that. So I'm excited to see that. But if that's a Sasaki request and requirement, the Yankees can fulfill that. If you're trying to tell me that the New York media market's scary, untenable, but Los Angeles is a perfect soft place to land, like it'll give him a comfortable media cover, he'll be able to get out of that New York spot, like give me a break on that. If he chooses LA and the Dodgers, it will be because of, yes, their pitching development program, which does keep resulting in Tommy John surgeries, especially for young pitchers, so be wary of that. But their development infrastructure is supposedly second to none. Their budget is second to none. They can spend money on whoever they want. They can acquire whoever they want. They have a lineup full of all-stars. They have Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Hai-Sung Kim. They add stars. They have high-profile Japanese talent. If he goes to the Dodgers, it's because they're the most talented team in the world. Don't mince words. Don't blame the New York media market. It's California and it's absurd talent. But you're honestly going to tell me that with Ohtani and Yamamoto and the amount of attention that the Japanese press places on Dodger games, which are borderline a circus at this point, they're the defending champions. Everyone who's not them hates them. Mookie Betts said every game against the Dodgers is the opposing team's World Series. He's right. The Dodgers came through with that World Series title last fall and got the last laugh. But everybody wants a piece of him this year. Every Dodgers road game is going to be a media circus. If you think he's escaping scrutiny by being a Dodger, by being on the most hated team in Major League Baseball right now, then you got another thing coming. If he picks the Dodgers, it's the pitching development program and all of their established megastars. If he picks the Padres, that's the quieter option. That's California, beauty, competitive team, competitive division, playoffs, team that needs him without Joe Musgrove for this year, without their long-term future is sort of cloudy. Padres are the landing spot where he can relax. He can confidently work with pitching coach Ruben Niebla to improve his arsenal. For me, they satisfy all of his needs, his reported needs. They check every box. The Dodgers versus the Yankees in the media ecosystem, like, just give me a break. Like, I'm sorry. If he chooses the Dodgers, it is not because New York media is too big and scary. LA's media is the number one pressure cooker in the baseball world right now. And the hatred surrounding Sasaki every time he bombs in a start with the Dodgers, I mean, they'll be laser focused on him. So, no. If he's looking to run from the Japanese media, then going to Los Angeles is not the way to do that. That said, I still put the thesis on at the beginning. I do not think he is a Yankee. Sorry. There you go. I don't think he's a Yankee. I just don't. But, happy to have the argument. And if he's not a Yankee, it's not because the New York media scared him off. One final talking point to end the show. The Mookie Betts guys. The guys in the front row in right field, Game 4 of the World Series, who grabbed Mookie Betts' wrist. Indefensible at the time. And they seemed to think at the time, between games 4 and 5, that those two season ticket holders were going to get in for game 5. They're like, Yankees haven't told us yet. I don't know. We hope to be at the game. It's like, they hope to be. Come on. You can't possibly do that and hope to be at the game. You're lucky you're not in jail. Yankees and MLB banned them from game 5 of the World Series. We didn't hear from them until now. Here they are. They're indefinitely banned from every MLB stadium. Indefinite. So it's official. The guys who grabbed Mookie Betts' wrist will not be going to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. What a shame. Put him alongside Pete Rose. Never getting in. Shoeless Joe Jackson. More like brainless front row Yankee fan guys. And I think it's important, especially after a weekend with Philadelphia Eagles playoff football and some horrible fan footage surfacing. And now Philly fans are, in that, under the microscope there, getting that ire that was reserved for Yankee fans during the World Series. I don't like painting fan bases with a broad brush. There are plenty of Yankee fans who are dopes. There are plenty of Yankee fans who are amazing and who care so much about this baseball team and who are hopelessly devoted to it and who nervously watch every game and sweat it out and shiver and shake. And then when things do not go their way, are inconsolably devastated. There are plenty of those emotional Yankee fans who were born into this and who live every day of their lives watching, thinking about, nervous, worrying about New York Yankees baseball, to share this with their friends and share this with their families. And then there are plenty of meatheads there too, right? They're idiots. And I don't know if these guys were raised in the same tradition, and I don't know if they share this with their families or how devoted they are, but they did it wrong. They went about it the wrong way. And then they gave brazen quotes about, folk heroes. We were just trying to defend our turf, right? Defend the wall. All right, well, you don't get that privilege. You are a fan. You're not in the game. It's one of the most indefensible things ever done by someone in the crowd. And certain sects of Yankee fans touted them as conquering heroes, as, folk heroes, as legends, just a joke, right? It's Gronk's friend from University of Arizona club hockey or whatever. Like, it's funny. Come on. What do you expect at the ballpark? Well, I expect that fans won't interfere with players on the field. I expect fans won't almost, by themselves turn the tide of a series. There was a moment where they were being hailed as like the Yankees' good luck charm, especially as the Yankees took a lead in game 5, took a significant lead into the middle of that game. And then what happened? Historic collapse, which I will always associate with those two dudes, in addition to Garrett Cole and Anthony Rizzo and Anthony Volpe and Aaron Judge and the error makers and the Dodgers who went out and seized it and took it. But after I get through the players on the field who actually had an impact, I think about those guys being hailed as heroes for, let's face it, putting Mookie Betts' health at risk. They didn't almost kill him. They didn't almost maul him, as a New York Post headline came out this week, but they took an extremely unnecessary risk and put a baseball player, a $100 million man, one of the game's preeminent superstars, in harm's way. As a fan, you should never intentionally do that. They got what was coming to them. So I hated the brief era where Yankee fans and some folks acted like these guys are these are the symbol. These are the fight for our city guys. We should all be more like these dopes. No, we shouldn't. I really didn't appreciate the era where opposing fans tried to say, well, of course, all Yankee fans look like this. No, we're disavowing those people. Very few Yankee fans look like this, and fewer act like this. That was absurd. No place in the fan base for those guys. No place in Major League Baseball for those guys either. They won't be attending any more games. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining today. Really appreciate it. short show. We'll be right back on Thursday afternoon with a longer one. Hopefully we get some movement by then, but I suspect unless Marcus Stroman is traded, we will not. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carinate will be back on Thursday. He is at Tommy's Takes. Please stay tuned. Subscribe all offseason. We hope to have some great guests for you. We hope to have some great concept shows. We hope to go live a bit more often. We've had some fun interviews in the past. If you're new to the channel, check out friend of the show, Jabba Chamberlain. Check out friend of the show, Danny Wexelman. Super fun folks that we've had on the channel. We'd love to have them both back. I think we probably will. And we're hoping to get some new names as well. So until then, till Thursday's show, take care. We'll catch you back here. Hit subscribe. Join us on all podcast platforms. And until Thursday, see you, everybody. Thanks for joining.